In this video, we'll be going over the unwrapping process for our cannon. So by now you should have your cannon modeled out in several different pieces. As you can see on this hierarchy, we have all our pieces here. So the nice thing about having it in separate pieces is that means then we can actually go through here and unwrap each one individually, and then it just makes it a little cleaner for us. So let's go ahead and start off by unwrapping our cannon portion first, just to kind of get started here. And I'm just going to hit Shift I, and that's going to isolate everything. And so if you recall, in a previous video we had assigned hard and soft edges. So if I were to just click off this, you can see that for most part it looks pretty soft, and then you get this hard edge right along the bottom here. You get that hard edge there, you get one there, there's one here. So you get all those hard edges. What that's going to do for us though is it's going to allow us to unwrap things really simple. So let's go ahead, and this is just a little trick that that helps us kind of speed this unwrapping process. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my top right hand corner where it says Workspace, My Classic. I'm going to go to UV Editing. And as you see here, our UVs look a little bit kind of wonky. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. In fact, I'm actually going to go back to my Maya Classic, and I'm going to exit isolation mode really quickly. I'm going to select all my pieces here and go to Modify and Freeze Transformations. And so as we kind of push things around, it could potentially mess up the UVs. So by freezing transformations, it's going to prevent that really large skewing or kind of the distortion going on that could happen. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my cannon, and what I want to do for stars, I'm just going to select the cannon and go into my Create tab, and I just want to go to Planar. So this is starting to look a little better, but we actually need to, as you can see on the bottom, it's not quite flat. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to Shift right click and go to actually I'm just going to just right click in the UV editor. I'm going to locate where it says Cut/Sew, and where it says Auto Seams, I'm going to check that box to the right of it, and that'll open up a new menu. So this menu, you can cut seams. So I want to actually select the seams first, and I want to do automatic, but by default it'll be at cut and automatic. So I'm going to go select seams and along hard edges. So like I said, we had those hard edges earlier, and now we're using those hard edges to our favor. So I'm going to click auto seams. You'll see now all those seams that were hard have been selected, and I'm going to now go to cut, because I was looking over those and that's where I wanted to cut them all. Yep, that looks pretty good. And then from here I can go select all the faces. I'm going to go to unfold. So I'm just going to unfold, hit unfold. Okay, that's not too bad. And so now that they're unfolded, I can go to my arrange layout tab. I'm just going to close some of these other ones so I can see a little better. So arrange and layout, and I'm going to go to orient shells, so it's going to make them go the right directions. And we'll hit layout. Now you may have your layout might be really close to each other. So I'm going to go, so if I right click in the UV editor, right click, go to modify, and then you're going to look for layout and next to there. So typically by default the shell padding is set to 0, and that's when you get this, you get things actually touching, which we don't want. We don't want things touching, because if they touch, then you really don't have much space to work with. So what you need to do is go to modify layout, and I'm going to move this shell padding to maybe 20 pixels is what I like to do, and it's going to give you a little bit of a gap between each item. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and look at this a little closer, see if there's any errors here. So I see one potential error. Let's see if I can find it though. So the error I see that I'm not able to locate yet, and I'm gonna turn on my grid real quick. Okay, so everything looks pretty good here. The only error that I see is right here. There should be a seam cut along this, so that way you can lay flat. So I'm just gonna go here, grab this edge, make that a hard edge, and then I'm gonna just go over here and cut that. Okay, and now I'm going to unfold, so now it'll be able to lay flat. So again, I'm just gonna grab all these, orient shells, and lay them out. And then the final thing I want to do here is I want to actually lay these all flat. So what I'm gonna do here is go to straighten UVs. That looks good. This one I can try straighten them, and see right there we get that little bit of a weird corner. So I wanted to let's see. I have to straighten a couple of these shells first. Sorry, I was trying a few different things, see if I can get this to lay flat for me. There you go. And so you can sometimes adjust the straighten UV threshold to get to lay perfectly flat for you. And one last thing I guess I missed right here is I want this one as well. I need a seam right there. So I'm gonna hard that edge, I'll go over here and cut that edge, which then I can fold it. And now I'm just going to select everything and lay them out. Oop. There you go. Okay, so now if I were to turn on this checker pattern here, you can see the can looks pretty good. Okay. So, now this would be ready to unwrap. So what I'm going to do here is just exit isolation mode. And what I like to do when I'm done with each one, I just hit the H button to hide it. Because now that basically to me it says that it is ready to go. And so I'm going to just go through a couple of these for you real quickly, and then I'll split the video just to make this more better use of the time. So for this, again, just the process is you will select the object. You're then going to go to your create tab and go to planar. And now with everything selected, you're gonna go to auto seams. As you can see here, the auto seams already have selected everything that I want to cut. And once it does that, I can go in here and hit cut. And then again, select everything. And I'm gonna go to unfold and orient layout, and this actually might be one of the easier ones. So here's a perfect example what can happen though. So everything looks good, but you notice that the middle is grayed out, and it's just sometimes a bug that happens in Maya where you see it's here but it doesn't actually show up on your UV, and you can tell that it's not being registered on the UVs when it's all grayed out like this. So everything else is checker patterns, this one's grayed out. So what you need to do to fix this Alright, so what you can do is you select this whole entire thing, and in this case I'm just going to go to normal base create, and it looks okay, but it's still not quite what I want. So move up a little bit, and I still need to, I'm just going to cut this edge right here. So I cut the edge. I'm just going to make sure that it is a hard edge. And now that I have that seam cut in there, I'm going to go ahead and just unfold this. And I'm going to then orient shell, and then select all the shells and lay them out. So again, that process is just whenever it's all grayed out on a particular piece, you select that piece and you have to then you can do a normal base unwrap, and then from there trim it up however you need. So it happens sometimes. It's just a little bug that I found in Maya. Okay, so that piece is done. Looks good. So what I'm going to do here is just go my object mode, H to hide, and then at this point I'm going to speed up the video, and then I'm going to unwrap this whole entire piece, and then I will go ahead and stop it once everything has been unwrapped. So in this part, what I'm doing here is I am taking my copy, my unwrapped version, and I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to move it right till it lines up with whatever I want to replace it with. So in this case, we're out here. I just want to try to get as close to line up as possible. And then once I have it lined up, what I want to do next So I want to actually hide it. So I'm gonna hit the H key. I'm gonna then delete the bad copy or the old copy. And so now that's just a quick way I can make a bunch of new versions. So what I'm gonna do here is, now that I have all those unwrapped, I'm gonna go here and go my display, show all. So I have my whole entire cannon unwrapped. Everything looks pretty good. As you see here, we have a bunch of kind of craziness going on up here, which is fine. But what we want to do is, we really want to break this down to a few parts. We have our base and our cannon. Those are really the only two parts we need. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select my cannon, and I'm going to then go to my, I can actually combine those. And I'm going to actually rename this cannon. And so as you see here, I have all the UVs for that. So I'm just going to select all these faces and then go to layout. And now they are all laid out in one UV. And so the last thing I'm going to do for this is I'm going to go to my assign new material. And I'm just going to assign just blend materials fine. I'm going to assign that, let's see. I have a lot of history on there, so there you go. I'm going to assign this blend. I'm just going to call this metal. And you can make a different color if you want, if it helps you identify it. You can definitely do that. So there we have our metal. And then I can actually now hide this because it's just in the way. So now I'm going to select everything else. And we're now going to do the faces here. Select all those faces. And just lay those out. So you see here, everything's all laid out. It looks nice, and the checkers look very equal. Looks good over there. And so what I want to do here is I'm just going to shift right click and go to combine. Or actually no, I don't need to. Yeah, I need to go to my object mode and then select everything here and combine everything there. In which then I can call this maybe wagon. It's fine. And last thing I need to do for this is go to my assign new materials, and we're going to make another blend material. And before I might go in here, delete type history, but there you go. Now let's call this wood, and maybe I'll make this a different color there. Okay, so now I'm going to have my two pieces. Let's see if I can get rid of these. I'm not sure those are necessary. Oh, there you go. So as you see here, we have our two, our two textures completely unwrapped. And so this is what we'll be texturing in the next video. So the next video we'll talk about how to get this from the modeling state into the texturing software, and then we'll dig into the textures themselves.